of the things I want to bring out being on today is just that because I'm not disfellowshipped, I have quite a few, you know, a handful of friends who are still witnesses. So they would be, you know, PMOs, I guess, right? Physically and mentally out. And you want to talk about outside of just disfellowshipping. It's like, you don't need to be disfellowshipped to be shunned. Like the underlying thing that I can't stand with all of it is that it's like, if I don't believe this, they act like, well, you can just go, you know, just go. But it's like, you don't get to go. You have to leave. It's like the mob. It's like, you can go, you either got to die or you got to keep your mouth shut for the rest of your life. It's like, that's the reality. And so I have friends who will talk to me and they're talking to other, like, I want to go golfing with a buddy who I golf with all the time. And you know, he's got another friend who's just like, who knows me. And he's like, yeah, I just don't want to come with Kellen because kind of seems like an apostate. And it's just like, the guy he's talking to is afraid to be honest because he'll be hooped. He'll be out. And it's just like, this happens. They're all doing it, but they don't, no one can just stand up and like you were saying, Nash, like they don't own it. Just own it.
Well, you can't. You know, if you do stand up, if you do talk, like you mentioned the mob, if you talk, guess what? You're going to get pulled into a committee meeting. Yeah. And you're done. So, you know, there's, you know, a lot of talk about, you know, the fact that shunning and disfellowshipping is used as blackmail. It is 100% blackmail. Yeah. And you have the people that will stand up and that, or they'll just say, oh, I'm just going to speak naturally. But I would say the majority of people just shut up. They don't say what they really think, because if they did, then Watchtower is going to pull out this gun that they have in their pocket and they're going to point it at you and pull the trigger. And that's, we're taking away your family and we're taking away your friends. Yeah. And this is what motivates, or one of the things that motivates Nash and myself and Kellen, you to talk to people, to do this channel, to make people realize this is going on. Like in the world that we live in, people don't realize that this archaic practice is happening. And I think even witnesses, like I grew up in the organization, and when you're a witness, you don't fully realize how crazy this is. Yeah. You don't fully realize how insane this practice is. This practice belongs in the 17th, the 16th, the 15th century. Yeah. This does not belong in the 21st century. The crap that these guys pull.
And I think it's interesting when you guys say, I mean, I think Harrison, I don't know if he coined this, but I've heard him say it a few times, and it's a great analogy when he talks about how Watchtower is a gun to your head and tape over your mouth. Yeah. And the second you pull the tape off, you know, you're pulling the trigger yourself, right? Yeah. And how often have we seen that with people that leave? If you keep your mouth shut, you might get some little breadcrumbs of a relationship from your family, but it's not going to be good. It's going to be the odd time they'll talk to you, they'll reach out, see how you're doing. But the reality is that always comes with a caveat that they're hoping you come back. They're always like, I'm going to see how Nashon's doing, because maybe he's been out long enough. Maybe things are going so bad for him that he's going to come to his senses and return to Jehovah. That's what they're thinking, right? The second you speak out, the second you show some integrity that you don't believe in this and that you have good reason. It's not because some elder treated me bad. It's not because I'm angry I can't have a beard. It's not because I want to sin to my heart's desire. I left for good reason. And they don't think that exists. They don't think a good reason exists. So how could you leave for a good reason? Because everything they read says you left for terrible reasons. So speaking out is them. Yep. They do. And speaking out is super important. And it reminds me, I'm always going back to Norway, but in that appeal, they talk about how thousands every year get baptized. Thousands every year choose to leave the faith. And they're not prevented from doing so. And it says that the two or possibly three dissatisfied former witnesses who have complained about Jehovah's Witnesses represent a small minority. They in no way represent all those who have peacefully broken their bonds with the church. So they're implying that these thousands that leave every year because they stay quiet, they're happy with it. They love it. They love shunning. They agree with it wholeheartedly, and they think it's awesome because they didn't say anything. That's a load of shit. That's what that is. Just because they didn't run out and start an apostate channel doesn't mean they love the practice of shunning. And I will guarantee you, if you could bring every one of them up there in front of them, they wouldn't say it was great. Well, so I think it's so dishonest. The reason
why they're not talking is because they have a gun to their head.
Yeah, and they're
deciding, do I want to say something, or do I want to still be invited to weddings or my family barbecues? Hang out with my parents. My brother actually, before he passed away, he was actually starting to smoke cigarettes again, and he was baptized, and he was hiding it because he wanted to talk to my mother.
Yeah,
and actually before he passed away, there was elders were coming out to visit him, and he didn't know why, and he was saying to me, "I'm probably going to get axed." I mean, that's what we sometimes the slang we use for people that, when you get DF, sometimes we call it getting axed. Yeah. He didn't want to get axed because guess what? He wanted to talk to my mom. That's why nobody says anything, is because, and it's a legitimate thing to think, well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because I want to have a relationship with my family. Yeah. That's not a stupid thing. You got to weigh the consequences. The consequences here. Like, do I want to cause a lot of trouble and then now I don't have a family and I don't have my friends, or, do I want to just keep my mouth shut and go on with my life?
And that was something I had to think very seriously about. Like, I didn't take that decision lightly. Yeah. I didn't come out and be like, fuck these guys. And I'm just going to tell everybody how terrible they are, because I don't think Jehovah's Witnesses are terrible. I don't think the people there are terrible. Mm-hmm. I think there's a few people that aren't very good people. They wouldn't be good people. Doesn't matter what religion they are. But the reality is these people are deceived. And some of them maybe that are acting terribly on bad information and on learning, not really being raised up properly because they have all these crazy ideologies. So maybe they would be an okay person outside of it.